Bienvenidos aquí a la Comisión de Cooperación Ecológica Fronteriza. El trabajo que están haciendo con este video para nosotros es muy importante porque va a ser una herramienta de información para las comunidades de ambos lados de la frontera en el río Bravo, para que conozcan primero que nada cuáles son los procesos de certificación y financiamiento de la COCEF y del Banco de Desarrollo de América del Norte, y también para que de una manera didáctica conozcan los criterios de certificación, en donde pueden conocer exactamente qué deben de cumplir las comunidades para que un proyecto pueda ser certificado y pueda ser aprobado su financiamiento. Es un video que es importante porque las comunidades pueden darse cuenta gráficamente de las obras de infraestructura que se han hecho a lo largo de casi 20 años en ambos lados de la frontera del río Bravo, Río Grande, y se vea que el esfuerzo está ahí, palpable, con plantas potabilizadoras, plantas de tratamiento de aguas residuales, líneas de alcantarillado, colectores, en fin, obras que realmente son importantísimas para esta región fronteriza y que va a dar beneficios y que ya está dando beneficios a la salud humana y el medio ambiente.
Welcome to the Border Environment Cooperation Commission. We are located in Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua, Mexico.
The BECC seeks to support project investments that preserve, protect, or enhance the environment and human health in the U.S.-Mexico border region. The BECC receives applications or requests for assistance from municipal and state governments, as well as the private sector, to aid in addressing environmental or public health conditions.
Los beneficios importantes que hemos tenido con estos apoyos se basan en el saneamiento de aguas residuales. Aquí en el caso de Miguel Alemán se ha hecho muy fuerte la inversión, se ha estado haciendo una obra en el subsuelo, cambiando y poniendo drenajes para mejorar las condiciones sanitarias de nuestras viviendas y de nuestro municipio, haciendo con esto pues entornos y municipios saludables.
Most BECC projects are concerned with water or wastewater systems. However, the BECC also works in other sectors, such as solid waste management, renewable energy, clean and efficient energy, public transportation, and other air quality projects. When a problem arises, such as lack of access to water or lack of paving, then the BECC will receive an application or request for assistance from a sponsor. If BECC can be determined to be the appropriate institution to assist, then the BECC will work with the sponsor to help develop a project, potentially doing everything from preliminary engineering to environmental clearance, final design, evaluating the project for certification purposes, and accessing financing from the North American Development Bank. The first step is to contact the BECC, either through regional project managers or through the website www.becc.org. To be eligible for BECC and NADBank participation, a project must fall into one of the following sectors: water wastewater, air quality, municipal waste management, renewable energy, clean and efficient energy, or public transportation. The project must also be located within 100 kilometers north of the U.S.-Mexico border and within 300 kilometers south of the border. Finally, the project sponsor must have the legal authority to both provide the service that they intend to invest in and to receive the funding for the project's implementation. The BECC works closely with the project sponsor, helping to integrate innovative technologies that will produce a project that best meets the technological and environmental needs of the situation, as well as being financially sustainable within the community. Having developed projects over the last 17 years, the BECC has the support and resources needed to not only help determine what steps will need to be taken to finance and develop the project, but also to help coordinate the project throughout its implementation. Projects are funded as they are ready for implementation and certification, and, unless their resources are constrained, a privatization process is applied. The objective of evaluating a project for certification is to assure that the project has reached a point of technical, environmental, and financial compliance and feasibility, as well as supporting transparency by making project information available to the public who will be impacted by it. Certification itself is simply evaluating the project in accordance with the established criteria. BECC will assist in both knowing what the steps are as well as implementing those steps. The BECC helps project sponsors throughout the process of project development, walking step by step to ensure that the sponsor understands every step required for project development. There are both grant and loan programs available through the BECC and NADBank. The BECC offers grant programs for technical assistance, which helps sponsors to develop the project's technical and environmental elements in order to be considered for certification and financing. The NADBank also provides technical assistance grants, specifically focused on elements of the project that are required to become financially viable for a NADBank loan. For project implementation or construction, the BECC also has grant and loan financing sources. The grant sources are typically focused on water and wastewater infrastructure. At the beginning of the project development cycle, the BECC will consider what has already been completed, as well as what still needs to be done. The BECC may then provide certain technical assistance, such as preliminary engineering studies or an environmental impact study. The requirements for each project to achieve regulatory compliance and financing access is determined on a case-by-case basis. Once this evaluation has been made, the BECC will aid the project sponsor in developing a project proposal that will address the certification requirements. The BECC does not certify designs, but rather certifies specific projects' technical and environmental aspects for access to funding. Contact the BECC and NADBank to see how we can support you. For new administrations in Mexico, please consider us as an important partner in meeting the needs of your community. BECC and NADBank offer support and consistency through administrative transition by identifying community needs and finding potential solutions and funding sources to support the implementation of projects that will address those needs. Because it can take 1 to 2 years to develop a project and get the investment in construction, new administrations should ideally begin working with BECC and NADBank at the beginning of their term. The Border Environmental Cooperation Commission is ready to work with you to meet your community's needs. Contact us today.
Welcome to the Border Environment Cooperation Commission. We are located in Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico. The first thing that most projects do is to evaluate what are the potential solutions, what are the alternative solutions to addressing the problem that exists. The process of evaluating a project to certification is to really assure that that project has reached a point of technical feasibility, of environmental compliance and feasibility, as well as financial feasibility. Project development is a smart thing to do right.
Ok, nos encontramos en la planta tratadora de aguas residuales Centenario de la Revolución Mexicana en Miguel Alemán, Tamaulipas. Los procesos que aquí hay es bueno, primeramente es un desalenador donde llegan las aguas de la ciudad, se distribuye a las dos lagunas anaerobias, por consecuencia las lagunas facultativas y maduración. Eso se trata todo el agua que hay en el drenaje sanitario en Miguel Alemán, Tamaulipas.
For certification purposes, we consider for technical feasibility to understand what is the selected technology and what was the methodology for selecting that technology. So we really want to see that a sponsor has considered all available technologies for addressing a condition such as wastewater treatment, for example. We want to see that the sponsor has considered what is the most appropriate technology for their community.
Particularly in grant-funded water and wastewater projects, the BECC will support research of alternative methods, possibly even hiring consultants. Remember, the BECC prioritizes projects that reduce energy use and apply renewable technologies. Water-wastewater projects receiving funding from the Border Environmental Infrastructure Fund are required to consider the trans-boundary impacts to the United States based on the U.S. funding source. BECC, in coordination with the EPA, prioritizes first-time service, primary water quality standards, and untreated discharge.
There are three categories within that prioritization methodology. The first has the most immediate impact on human health. The second category is focused more on environmental impacts, and the third category are other non-compliant conditions.
BECC offers full contracting services from procurement to contract management in order to help communities explore their options when procuring consultants. The project sponsor is involved throughout project development, and BECC requires the sponsor's final approval on the project to ensure that it meets every task required for the community. The project sponsor is expected to demonstrate ownership or long-term lease for the project site. Projects on the property of the federal government or receiving from federal funding resources require federal authorization. Projects that do not involve BECC participation very often apply to the BECC when they need improvements or need reconstruction. BECC project development, though lengthy and in-depth, is a valuable resource when planning. The BECC will look at appropriate technical solutions for the community and the entity that will be operating that technology, considering long-term sustainability, immediate investment and long-term operational expenses, as well as the availability of funds and expertise.
That was one good thing about the process too. They basically told us you have serious problems here. This was what the plan was for. That's what's so good about getting a master plan and wastewater master plan and being funded through BECC, being able to get that, because it was able to start guiding us of what truly had to be done. And that's what was so good about it.
Both BECC and the NADBank offer formal training opportunities and forums to support sponsors in project development. The NADBank also offers a Utility Managers Institute.
We're in the community of Anthony, New Mexico, population 9,000. This is our brand new water treatment facility. Anthony Water and Sanitation District was under administrative order from EPA due to the arsenic levels and nitrate levels in our water. Through different funding sources, including BECC and NADBank, EPA, we were able to acquire some funding. We're thrilled about it. The quality of the water has increased tremendously. Quality of water here, our TDS used to be up in the 1900s. Right now we're looking at it at about 600s, and gone down that much. And our arsenic is basically zero.
Utilizing BECC's experience in working with communities will help you to do things right the first time. BECC project development is a lengthy process, but a valuable investment. BECC has established relationships with the state governments along the U.S.-Mexico border and can facilitate discussions as well as help in identifying applicable regulations.
Estamos trabajando para el beneficio de Juárez.
Welcome to the Border Environment Cooperation Commission. We are located in Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico. The purpose of the financial criterion is to ensure that a project meets financial standards in terms of viability, security, and legal structure. Projects seeking loan financing from the NAB Bank must comply with the NAB Bank loan policy guidelines, which are available on their website.
Project sponsors, borrowers, or guarantors must have the legal authority to set and increase user fees and rates. They also must demonstrate their technical, managerial, and financial capabilities for carrying out their respective obligations. The service area must be able to sustain a sufficient level of user fees, other revenue, or income streams to repay the debt. Financial criteria: a demonstrable and reasonable assurance of repayment at the time of funding. Projects seeking financing must complete certain development tasks in order to define project scope, what technology will be used, project cost both for capital improvement as well as operation and maintenance.
We'll work with either public financing structures or project financing structures. Project financing structure requires that the project is generating the revenues to service the loan for that project. Public financing structures are dependent on municipal sources, taxes, user rates, other revenues generated by the beneficiaries of the project. The NAB Bank also provides technical assistance grants specifically focused on elements or aspects of the project that are required to become financially viable for a NAB Bank loan. Both the BECC and the NAB Bank administer funding which is provided by the Environmental Protection Agency, the US EPA. Specifically, those grant sources are for projects selected through a prioritization process for which applications are received every 2 to 3 years to apply that process. Additionally, the NAB Bank provides a program called the Community Assistance Program, which are small grants. These are up to a maximum of $500,000.
These grants are primarily used for drinking water, wastewater, and solid waste projects. The application process is continuously open, and projects are funded as they become ready for implementation and certification.
For every US dollar invested in Mexico from the program, at a minimum $1 is required from Mexico. However, historically, that leveraging factor has been $1 of beef to every $1.85 of Mexico. In some cases, more like $2 to $3 per dollar of U.S. investment. The NAD Bank documents project costs, sources of revenue, uses of funds, and any potential rate impacts to be supported by the community or beneficiaries of the infrastructure investment, to ensure that the project has sufficient revenues, equity grant, or other financial support to have a reasonable assurance of project implementation, sustainable operations, and loan repayments.
For addressing conditions such as wastewater management, the BECC will seek to determine whether or not the sponsor has considered the most appropriate technology for the community. How much property is available for the project? What is the capacity necessary to meet current situational standards as well as reasonable growth? Is the project utilizing the best technology and the best managerial practices? Contact the BECC today for more information at www.becc.org/funding-program/infrastructure funding.
The point of the process basically is saying we're going to give you so much money. This is federal money. We want to make sure you're spending it correctly. Utility rates, when you pay for your water and sewer, it's supposed to be invested back into the system. That's what it's supposed to be for. I mean, we went through a process with our financial consultant. We basically truly had an idea how much everything was going to cost us, even if we didn't get a grant. We knew we had to get this stuff done. We had a number that we had to reach, and doubling our rates were going to be able to end us getting. And we knew where a lot of the issues were. Sure. The thing is, we didn't have that technical expertise to end up getting it done.
Para poder obtener $1 o para poder obtener la cantidad de dinero que sea necesario para un proyecto. ¿Sí? La EPA, que es la Agencia de Protección Ambiental de los Estados Unidos, con su contraparte en México, que es la Comisión Nacional del Agua, ellos coordinan los tiempos y hacen las evaluaciones para que en un determinado momento la Comisión de Cooperación Ecológica Fronteriza certifique. El hecho de que certifique significa que nuestros proyectos ya son viables para ser licitados. Entonces, la intervención que tiene tanto la EPA como la CONAGUA, con el apoyo que nos brinda a los organismos operadores la Comisión de Cooperación Ecológica Fronteriza, y las revisiones que el equipo técnico que hace el Banco de Desarrollo de América del Norte para la inversión, eso para nosotros son los que nos marcan la pauta.
So having BECC at the table, coordinating all of the project stakeholders to see the importance of the investment. The process also allowed an opportunity to access the optimum financial structure with the greatest amount of grant possible.
Contact the BECC today for more information at www.becc.org/funding-program/infrastructure funding.
Welcome to the Border Environment Cooperation Commission. We are located in Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua, Mexico.
The BECC certification process requires that public notice be made, that project information is made available to the public, and that reasonable opportunity is made for public comment. The process allows for the creation of a local steering committee.
Este comité ciudadano de seguimiento se erigió el 15 de octubre del año 2012 con el propósito de darle sustento a la participación ciudadana. Este comité estará vivo no solo para estos proyectos, sino que continuará su tarea de vigilar que Reynosa de veras alcance niveles de sustentabilidad más allá de la media nacional.
Serafín Gómez, soy gerente de Comapa Reynosa. Para nosotros es muy importante poder, para nuestros proyectos, cumplir con el recurso necesario. Sí, el banco ha sido muy importante en el desarrollo de aquí. Varios proyectos no se hubieran realizado si no tuviéramos nosotros ese apoyo de parte del banco. El banco ha sido muy importante, no nomás en el crédito, sino también en la transparencia de esos recursos y las obras que se han realizado, al beneficio tanto para Reynosa como también para nuestros vecinos, ciudades vecinas, que también todos estamos en lo mismo, ¿no? En el mismo río, en el mismo frontera, y pues tenemos que ayudarnos a los vecinos. Y pues para que la gente tenga los servicios que deben tener, que es el agua, muy importante, y luego la descarga de las aguas residuales y el tratamiento de las aguas residuales, pues para ellos es muy importante. Entonces nosotros en eso estamos trabajando para ser un organismo confiable y poder dar el servicio que ellos mismos merecen y también lo están pagando. La coordinación de toda esa gente trabajando hacia un proyecto, y luego también los ciudadanos, con nuestro comité de ciudadanos, también trabajar en conjunto con ellos para poder cumplir con todos los requisitos. Pues sí, se toma su tiempo, pero bueno, es necesario.
One of the founding principles of the certification process was a robust public participation process. In the earliest years of certification, all projects were required to develop steering committees as well as public outreach activities and public meetings. Those projects were primarily in the sectors of water and wastewater, which have the most direct impact to the individual resident, because those projects are typically funded based on user fees to those residents. So what we find is that the opportunity for public participation in communities with impacts, financial impacts directly to the residents, that the most important thing to do is to make sure that residents have the correct information, understand exactly what the intent of the project investment is, understand what the potential impacts, financial impacts, economic impacts might be to them individually as well as to the community. The public meetings typically also support the activities post-construction, which may be connection of residents to the infrastructure to receive the service. The public meeting offers an opportunity for the community to understand what will be occurring during construction, how long that construction will take in their community, and then when they will have the opportunity to access those services.
Y una vez hecho ese desdoblamiento, entonces nos fuimos a los medios de comunicación y al contacto directo.
El contacto directo fue con los periodistas, conferencias de prensa.
Uno de los requisitos es que hubiera una audiencia pública donde se consulta a la ciudadanía de Matamoros, se invita a toda la gente a conocer los proyectos que habrán de realizarse o que se tienen contemplados. La gente tiene que estar de acuerdo en que esos son los proyectos que se necesitan para Matamoros. Es una consulta pública, la gente participa, la gente opina. Una vez que escucha y conoce los proyectos que fueron aprobados por la parte americana y por la COCEF, la gente también tiene que aceptarlos y estar de acuerdo en lo que se va a invertir el recurso. La gente lo aprobó en la consulta pública, la gente estuvo de acuerdo, la gente participó y con eso se cumplió el requisito. Se pone a votación y la gente lo votó a favor y bueno, pues con eso se cumplió el requisito de la audiencia pública, de la consulta pública.
Desde el inicio, toda la sesión y todas las sesiones llevan su orden del día. Todas las sesiones están registradas con minuta. Todas las sesiones tienen un acta que se levantó y en la que firmamos. Todas las sesiones tienen lista de asistencia donde firman los asistentes. Todas las sesiones están declaradas con quórum legal. Todas las decisiones que se toman aquí fueron consensadas y puestas a la consideración y aprobadas en su mayoría por unanimidad, algunas por mayoría nada más, pero de veras esta mesa y esta formalidad con la que se ha trabajado aquí, pues a mí en lo personal me deja muy satisfecho, porque si hay una disciplina de grupo que yo haya visto en mi carrera, es la que tiene este comité y no obedece a otra cosa, sino que todos tenemos un interés común, que es que Reynosa sea saneada.
It's a normal reaction of the community to have concerns about project investments or change in user fees to support investments. The public participation process can help a community to, again, improve the quality of information that residents receive so that they may have a well-informed reaction to a project. Difficult and challenging projects such as siting of a wastewater treatment facility in a near residential areas are very difficult or challenging for a community to accept. And the idea is that we want to mitigate those impacts as much as possible. And through the public participation process and public meeting process, we're able to really understand better what is the concern of the resident and consider what kind of improvements to the project can be made in order to resolve those concerns.
So the process also, which was part of BECC and NADBank, was we had to do all these public hearings. So we got a committee together, which was part of the process, and it was a utility to committee. We did over 30 presentations around the city concerning what we needed to do. The greatest thing about doing that was we were letting the public know. Before I went to the elected officials, I did that first because I wanted the public's reaction first. We got that done, and what I really loved about that, at least every time during one presentation, someone would come up to me and saying, as long as we know what you're doing with the money, we're fine. What we try to do here is we try to educate the public as much as possible, let them know, and I think we have. Once all that occurred, I was able to double my rates in one shot. Now that they have a better understanding of it, when I bump into them on the street and stuff like that, they're always asking me how are things going.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Ingeniero Serapio Guzmán Castillo, presidente de la Cámara Mexicana de la Industria de la Construcción. Digamos que llevar esta información a la ciudadanía es explicarles que el proyecto que nosotros traemos ahorita, bueno, nosotros me refiero al Consejo, incluyendo a la COCEF, se trata de mejorar la problemática que tenemos en cuanto a aguas residuales. aguas negras, conocidas también comúnmente. Hacerles saber que lo que se trata de mejorar son las plantas de tratamiento existentes que no tienen la capacidad suficiente para poder tratar el 100% de las aguas. Construir 2 plantas nuevas donde se pretende abarcar un poco más de la zona y tratar de resolver el 100% de la problemática de las aguas residuales. Digamos que de esa manera se le puede explicar a la gente que podemos con esto llegar a obtener esos resultados.